Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. And we have a very interesting guest today with some very interesting information. And please bear in mind, I do have a bit of a cough here, so if I have to mute myself, I will do that, just so you're aware that's why. But anyway, Alfred Lambremont Weber has written a book, and one of the titles is Discover a Real Unknown Jesus, a revelation on the life and teaching of Jesus. So let's bring him on. Hi, Alfred.
Hi there. Yeah, it's good to be with you.
Yes, I'm just fascinated by the information that you have discovered and that are now sharing with the population about the life and teachings of Jesus, that are information that we haven't heard before, and even more on the Bible, which some have called Babel, but anyway, it's a we got to be careful here, because people can easily be offended, and that is not the intention here. The intention is to try to get truth out there, and we have discovered, or Alfred has discovered, truth of some very important information. I think you will go. It's a little bit jaw-dropping. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it? One of the things we were going to talk about is time travel. And time travel is I don't get it. So how do they do that, Alfred? I think you said you could explain that.
Yeah, sure. Well, just a bit of background. The way that I came upon this was that I discovered that in 1971, when I was an environmental lawyer, general counsel of the Environmental Protection Administration of the City of New York, and in 1971, at the same time, DARPA-CIA of the US government had developed a top secret time travel unit, and they had decided to use it for statecraft and for public purposes, for documenting important public events. They were, in 1971, they were pre-identifying the future US presidents, and they used time travel to pre-identify George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald J. Trump, and Joseph Robinette Biden. And in 1971, they called all of these future presidents in, and they informed them that they would be future presidents, and they groomed them to be future presidents. So that in effect nullified the voters' free will of the United States. And you can read all about this now in my new book, The Chronogarchy. Chronogarchy means those who rule through time. And that's available online at omniversity.us. You can get it in eBook. You can get it in paperback. It's 800 pages long. It's all based on scientific research, eyewitnesses' accounts, time travelers' accounts. This is a book that is, I would say, 50 years in the making, because I was first contacted by the secret US government time travel unit 50 years ago, around 50 years ago, in 1971. And what they did is they went and they met with me, and they time traveled a book that I would write in 1999 and publish. It would come out as a paperback in 2005, and they time traveled it back to 1971. And this is my book, Exopolitics, that founded the science of exopolitics. That's the science of intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. And they actually met with me, the secret DARPA-CIA time travel unit met with me under alternate circumstances. They invited me to give them a lecture on the environment. So I thought I was speaking to a public group on the environment when I was speaking in 1971 to the secret time travel unit of DARPA-CIA that had time traveled my book, Exopolitics, from 2005 back to 1971. And they wanted to see what I looked like, and that's what I call time travel surveillance. And that's what the Chronogarchy does. That's the secret time travel government. Now,
that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And thanks to time travelers that have now gone public, like Andrew D. Basiago, we have a list of the eight modalities of time travel, and I'll just go through to a few of them that are relevant here. One is called the chronovisor. And the chronovisor, essentially, I'll just sort of make it very simple, was developed by the Vatican, by two priests in the Vatican. And through the chronovisor, you can see events backward and forward in time, but you can also look into the spiritual dimensions and communicate with the afterlife. And that shows that we live in a dimensional ecology, which is something that my books on the Omniverse prove scientifically. So the Vatican developed these. That's like a chronovisors. They have 2D chronovisors and 3-dimensional chronovisors. They're sort of like a 2D chronovisor is like a big television set that you can look backwards and forwards in time. Because in time, all events are happening at once. Everything is happening now, and every event has an address. It has a time, a date, and a place. And you can dial that up and go to the chronovisor. It's like the TV monitors that we're looking at now. We can dial it up, and we can say, well, we want to know who will win the 2024 US presidential election. And we can go to, let's say, January 20th, 2025, and see who's taking the oath of office. Of course, as we're going to cover today, it might not be that simple in 2024 because we already had problems with the election in 2020, and there might not even be a successful election in 2024, which is one of the books that I'm going to explain, and one of the things that I was told, which is we'll get to that in this program. But some of the other technologies, there's a Stargate, which is like almost like two semicircular arms that form like the Stargate, and they create a vortal tunnel in time space, and teleporters are sent through that vortal tunnel, and they use the teleporter, for example, as part of the secret Project Pegasus DARPA-CIA time travel program. They would send, they had a DARPA forward time base in the year 2045, and they would send time travelers up to 2045 to collect time scrolls to bring them back to 1971. And that was a way that the future would inform the past of how to get to the future successfully. There was also a jump room that,
that would be
or an aeronautical repositioning chamber that was developed with the help of gray ETs, and that helped Mars astronaut get from Earth to Mars in 20 minutes. And they would go to 999 North Sepulveda, get in the elevator, go to the top floor, and that elevator then would morph into a sort of this teleporter or aeronautical repositioning chamber. And in 20 minutes later, they would step out on the surface of Mars with the secret Mars colony there. And this is all based on interviews that we've had with Mars explorers. So these are the type of, there's also the plasma confinement chamber that they use to send time travelers to events. For example, they sent Andrew Basiago to Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and we had in 1863, and we have a photograph of that. Perhaps that's what they used when they sent back to create the video documentaries of the crucifixion and the resurrection, because we don't know how those were created. Perhaps those were created with chronovisors, but we don't know. But they're top secret, so only people who have top secret classification and clearances have seen those two. But in our book, A Revelation on the Life and Teachings of Jesus, we took as our point of departure and based it on the eyewitness accounts, excuse me, of those events. So that's basically an overview of the time travel technologies that do exist. People can go again and get my book, The Chronovisor, the Chronogarchy, and it's a complete introduction to the secret time travel government, and that's out now. We have actually broken the wall of silence, and that's out there. I don't know if you have any questions, but we can start going into the other areas whenever you're right.
Well, there's a lot of, I mean, I can come up with a whole bunch of questions actually, but the one thing that was really stood out to me, apart from the time travel thing, it'd be nice. Well, let me ask you this. Do you ever see time travel technology being available to more of the general public or people?
Oh, yeah. And in fact, a time traveler, Andrew D. Basiago, ran for president in 2016 on a platform to release these technologies. He ran on this platform. See, Donald Trump knows all about this, but he's kept it on the down low. He has not released this. And when Andrew Basiago ran for president, he ran on 100 proposals to release this, and they took directed energy weapons and blinded him. So he's legally blind now. And so that's what they did. I have a platform which is in one of my books, which we'll talk about today, called Time Screen, in which I am proposing myself as an Earth representative to the Regional Galactic Governance Council, which includes the the Pleiadians, the Alpha Centaurians, the Sirians, and others. And they're the Galactic Governance Council that has overseen affairs on Earth for over 1 million years, but there's never been an Earth representative on it. And so I'm proposing people can go to...
Gee, that would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. So people can go to positivefuture.info and you'll see all the elements of the platform there. I have them in the new book, Time Screen, which we'll talk about. And the release of the time travel technologies plus planetary teleportation. See, the US has had planetary teleportation since the mid-1960s. And in a planet, a life-bearing planet like Earth, will never get advanced planet status and be admitted to the kind of the order of nations, of interplanetary nations, unless it has planetary teleportation. And what happened is that Donald Rumsfeld was the officer in charge of teleportation, and he ruled back in the 60s on, that teleportation would be only for getting US troops to the battlefield. So thereby he just sank any chance of Earth having advanced planetary status. So what we have to do is change that and get all of these technologies released publicly so that the Earth can have planetary teleportation. So instead of strapping, 4,000 pounds of steel around your waist to go pick up a bottle of milk, you can teleport to the store, or you can teleport to Paris for dinner with your business associates and teleport back, which is what they do on advanced planets. So this is just the elite on this planet they are a hidden sort of reptilian and archonic souls that incarnate into human bodies. So they look like they have human souls, but they don't. But most people in political power, in economic power, in media power are part of these archonic and reptilian souls whose mission is to subjugate humanity, but we're breaking through that now.
Yay!
So, yeah, exactly. So if you like, we can start going through what we found out through time travel on a revelation on the life and teachings of Jesus, and then we can go to our second book, which I think people are going to find really amazing.
Let's do it. I guess we'll be doing a lot of talking, and if I have a question, I'll let you know. Just jump in. I'm just jumping in. Well,
absolutely
fascinating, all of it.
The first book that we're talking about is called A Revelation on the Life and Teachings of Jesus, and that's available on Amazon right now or at omniversity.us. It's available both in eBook or in paperback. Just go to Amazon or go to today's Monday, August 29th. If you go there and buy it up until the day after Labor Day, you'll get it at a special price of $3.99. On September 6th, it rises up to $9.99. But this has been on pre-order for the last 3 months. And I'll just read here that this book is based on the Chronogarchies and the U.S. government's creation of top secret quantum access time travel video documentaries of the historical crucifixion and resurrection of Joshua ben Joseph, Jesus of Nazareth, made public by the whistleblowing of US Chrononaut Andrew D. Basiago, an eyewitness to the time travel video documentary of Jesus Crucifixion. The publication of this Chronogarchy top secret quantum access Jesus project provides direct forensic evidence of different aspects of the possible truth or not, and authenticity of the Synoptic Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and importantly of part 4 of what purports to be a Fifth Epochal Revelation, the Urantia Book, The Life and Teachings of Jesus. And it forms the basis for this book, a revelation on the life and teachings of Jesus. The Chronogarchy is, quote, an interdimensional hidden power structure monitoring the time-space of Earth as its domain of influence, operating as a secret government using quantum access time travel technologies to carry out its operations and mandates. Now, what was my intent in writing this book? Okay, when I started out with the intent to explore a spiritual hypothesis that the Urantia Book was a 272-page Fifth Epochal Revelation that was celestially authorized and published in 1955 as a celestial emergency measure to open the way on Earth. Urantia, they call Earth, they say that the planet's name of this planet is Urantia.
Who wrote that?
Urantia, Earth.
You are.
Earth. For an eventual second coming. Supposedly, the Urantia Book was written by all sorts of different commissions of higher beings, okay, of higher spiritual beings, okay? And to affirm, as stated by a Urantia Book expert, that Jesus Christ, as a creator, has a co-equal female partner. And that is that there's a yin-yang creator deity, and the male incarnates as a human, and the female does not have to incarnate, because the female, quote, is omnipresent, and the female is space and time. The female is matter, matrix. The matrix is mater. Mater is mother in Latin. Mater matrix. So throughout these 2,000 years, they suppressed the female aspect of what was Jesus. Okay, it's really a god-goddess thing. Okay, they have suppressed the female, and that's where the suppression of women comes from. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm all in favor of that changing, because I've noticed that for a long, long time, and it really irritates me. Anyway.
Exactly. Now, so that a further intent of this book was to report on the Chronogarchy's creation of the top secret time travel video documentaries that appear to provide direct forensic evidence of, part 4 of the Urantia Book, The Life and Teachings of Jesus, and of the Synoptic Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, on which all the churches have based 2,000 years of their church's dogma. And, about half or a good percentage of the human race going into belief. And finally, the fourth intent, which we did, and you can go to this book and you'll find out all about it. I mean, it's heavy duty. We exposed the Urantia community as being infiltrated by MK Ultra technology, self-delusion, and the ongoing fulfillment of the COINTELPRO destruction by the deep state and military intelligence, transhumanist and sentient AI, artificial intelligence infiltration, and to indict these perpetrators. I mean, We even show that the Findhorn community, for example, in Scotland, all these New Age communities, the Findhorn community was established right next to a UK Royal Air Force base where they use synthetic telepathy. And all this supposed channelings are coming from the synthetic telepathy from this base and from MK Ultra. So we begin to show all of this stuff, okay? And this is without fear or favor. We're out to bust what needs to be busted, okay?
System busters.
Yeah, exactly. And, some people get very upset because they have a lot of belief invested in this, but they don't have observation.
And once again, I'd like to point out a belief or belie is right in the middle, the word lie.
There we go. Now, let's go through. We're going to go through now what the impact of the Quantum Access Time Travel video documentary of the resurrection has been, at least from the eyewitness reports. So here's an extract from the eyewitness report. In the video documentary of the resurrection, they say 2 men appear in the tomb. They don't say angels, they say 2 men appear, and Jesus stands up with the 2 men, and the 3 of them push the rock away, and Jesus walks out of the crib. Okay? So that's what happens. There's no angels. 2 men, 2 regular men appear. Jesus stands up. They push the rock away, and Jesus walks out. Okay? When you compare that to the Synoptic Gospels, starting with Matthew 28 and Luke 4, it's completely at odds. In fact, if we take the Gospel of Luke, which is the one that's most similar, we're not going to go to the Gospel of Matthew, because Matthew says, oh, there were angels in there that, It had nothing to do. It was totally contradicted by the time travel video. But here we go to the Luke video. This is the Luke 24. Quote, and they found the stone rolled away from the sepulchre, and they entered in and found not the body of Lord Jesus. And it came to pass, as they were much perplexed thereabout, behold, 2 men stood by them in shining garments. There was nothing in the time travel video about the men in shining garments. And as they were afraid and bowed down their faces to earth, they said unto them, why seek ye the living among the dead? He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spake unto you when he was yet in Galilee, saying, the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and the 3rd day rise again. All of that speech doesn't appear at all in the time travel video. It's all invented, and we'll show you it's invented in the Synoptic Gospels by Flavius Josephus, who is the leading Israeli propagandist of the day, who was hired by the Roman Emperor Titus and Vespasian to write the Gospels and invent a Messiah that was peaceful and would say, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's.
And turn the other cheek.
Yeah, and turn the other cheek, because as the Dead Sea Scrolls show, the Messiah that they were expecting was angry and vengeful and was going to tear down Rome. So this was all propaganda. Now, let me go to the Urantia Book. And the Urantia Book is advertised as, the life of Jesus on universe television. This is something that you've never seen before, right? Okay, this is paper 189 in the Urantia Book. The tomb of Joseph was empty, not because the body of Jesus had been rehabilitated or resurrected, but because the celestial host had been granted their request to afford it a special and unique dissolution, a return of the dust to dust, without the interventions of the delays of time and without the operation of the ordinary and visible processes of mortal decay and material corruption. The mortal remains of Jesus underwent the same natural processes of elemental disintegration as characterizes all human bodies on earth, except that in point of time, this natural mode of dissolution was greatly accelerated, hastened to the point where it became well nigh instantaneous. So they said that the interdimensionals came and they accelerated time and they instantaneously dissolved the body of Jesus. Boom. Now, that the paper continues.
What?
As these women sat there in the early hours of the dawn of this new day, they looked to one side and observed a silent and motionless stranger. For a moment, they were again frightened, but Mary Magdalene, rushing toward him and addressing him as if she thought he might be the caretaker of the garden, said, "Where have you taken the master? Where have you laid him? Tell us that we may go and get him." When the stranger did not answer, Mary, she began to weep. Then spoke Jesus to them, saying, "Whom do you seek?" Mary said, "We seek for Jesus, who was laid to rest in Joseph's tomb, but he is gone. Do you know where they have taken him?" Then said Jesus, "Did not this Jesus tell you, even in Galilee, that he would die, but that he would rise again?" These words startled the women, but the master was so changed that they did not recognize him, with his back turned to the dim light. And as they pondered his words, he addressed the Magdalene with a familiar voice, saying, "Mary." And when she heard that word of a well-known sympathy and affectionate greeting, she knew it was the voice of the master. And she rushed to kneel at his feet. She exclaimed, "My Lord and my master." And all of the other women recognized that it was the master who stood before them in glorified form, and they quickly knelt before him. Now, the term that the Urantia Book uses for the glorified form is called Morontia, Morontia. And that's like the angel Moroni, Moronia. And what I think is that Moron means moron, and these interdimensionals are saying, "You moron humans, don't you know that we're just pulling your leg and trying to get you to think outside of the box?" Because this version in paper 189 is so cockamamie. First they say, "Oh, we accelerated time, so accelerated in one instant that we dissolved this body." And then Jesus came in a Morontia form, and he surprised Mary Magdalene and said, "Whoopee, I'm here." But let's look at what really probably happened and what's most similar to the eyewitness reports of the time travel documentary. Here we go. We actually found it. We found a version with men appearing in the tomb, and that's in a version reported in the Phoenix Journal. It's called, and they call this name Emmanuel. I am Sananda. by Sananda, Jesus and Judas Iscariot. And in this version, Judas Iscariot is an intimate ally and friend of Jesus who had been set up, and he's not at all the traitor. According to the Phoenix Journal Documentaries, whose version of the resurrection is consistent with the version of Jesus' resurrection depicted in the Project Pegasus Quantum Access time travel video documentary. 1. Judas Iscariot was an intimate friend and ally of Jesus and was, quote, set up and discredited by the son of a Pharisee, Simeon Iscarioth, who was similarly named Judah Iscariot in the case of mistaken identity. They set this guy up to screw with Jesus. You know how many times they've set people up over the years. 2, Jesus did not die on the cross. He was taken moribund and live to the tomb, where he was secretly revived by friends, plausibly the 2 men who appear in the Project Pegasus Quantum Access time travel video documentary. The Phoenix Journal document is reportedly authored by Jesus, writing under his spiritual name of Emmanuel, along with Judas Iscariot, to set the historical record straight. And I'm going to read from it here. The soldiers then went to the tomb and sealed the rock which had been placed in the opening. They knew not, however, of the second opening, so assistants could go and come from the secret entrance without being seen. On the 3rd day, Emmanuel was strong enough to stand and walk. And that's when the 2 men came in, the assistants. Jesus got up, they moved the rock, and they left. So that's it. Isn't that amazing? Now, let's go on. And this is that time when all the secrets are made. This is from Caesar's Messiah, the Roman conspiracy to invent Jesus.
Oh,
Quote,
my God.
The typological storyline reveals that the Jesus who interacted with the disciples following the crucifixion, the actual Jesus that Christians have unwittingly worshipped for 2,000 years, was actually Titus Flavius. The discovery of the Flavian invention of Christianity creates a new understanding of the entire first century. Such a revelation is disorienting, and the reader will find the following points useful in understanding the new history that this work presents. Christianity did not originate among the lower classes in Judea. It was a creation of the Roman imperial family, the Flavians. The Gospels were not written by the followers of a Jewish Messiah, but by the intellectual circle surrounding the 3 Flavian emperors, Vespasian and his 2 sons, Titus and Domitian. The Gospels were written following the 66 to 73 war between the Romans and the Jews, and many of the events of Jesus' ministry are satirical depictions of events from that war. The purpose of Christianity was supersession. It was designed to replace the nationalistic and militaristic messianic movement in Judea, as evidenced in the Dead Sea Scrolls, with a religion that was pacifistic and would accept Roman rule. So those Gospels that we know, the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and to some extent John, were actually written by Flavius Josephus, working with the Roman emperors it's all disinformation. And it's like
propaganda started 2,000 years ago.
Propaganda. And that's how the Roman emperor then became the Pope, and it became the Roman Catholic Church, and it became this global religious deep state, which is a political organization. So everybody would worship the vicar of Christ, which is the Pope, and they're worshiping really the Roman emperor, because the Roman emperors claimed that they were God. So that's how we have this deep state now. So that is really what is going on. And
wow.
And
I got a question up there for you.
Yeah.
It says, how do they know what timeline they witnessed in the documentary? Couldn't there be a different circumstance depending on the dimension or timeline?
Oh yeah, you know, we have not questioned the makers of the documentary, but it appears on the face of it, both from the description of the crucifixion and the description of the resurrection and the detail that the eyewitnesses go into, that this is Joshua ben Joseph. And then you have to take that description, knowing what we know about Flavius Josephus and how the Gospels were invented, knowing what we know about the Urantia Book being an interdimensional channeling, and how many discrepancies there are in that channeling from the early 1900s, and all that is set out in the book. So this is a book that we've written, is a set of time travel detective work, and at the end of it, neither the Synoptic Gospels nor the Urantia Book are credible texts.
Wow.
Now,
that's pretty disturbing. Yeah.
So we can go through this.
Well,
and so let me, so this is just the beginning. I mean, this is going to be an interview that's going to shake people up, because we've written 2 books that are designed to shake people up. So shall I continue?
Oh yeah. Well, the truth, sometimes, like they say, the truth hurts. Well,
yeah.
I'd rather know the truth and have it hurt than to be to think that lies are truth and they're not. So
okay, so
please continue.
Then in the book, we go through the Urantia Book and we extract all of the passages that relate to the second coming, that use the word second coming in the Urantia Book. Mm-hmm. And here's one, paper 170. Sooner or later, another and greater John the Baptist is due to arise, proclaiming the kingdom of God is at hand, meaning a return to the high spiritual concept of Jesus, who proclaimed that the kingdom is the will of his heavenly Father, dominant and transcendent in the heart of the believer, and doing all this without in any way referring either to the visible church on earth or to the anticipated second coming of Christ. So we know that the visible church on earth is a fabrication. It's a remnant of the fabrication of the Roman emperors. The Roman Catholic Church, the Vatican, and the Pope is a remnant of the fabrication of the Roman emperors, of Flavius Josephus, of Vespasian and Titus. And along with that, all of the Christian churches, including the Church of England, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Now, My grandmother's name was Jane the Baptist. Okay, she was from Cuba. My mother's name was Joan the Baptist. So this is another and greater John the Baptist. So I grew up with this John the Baptist thing, and my grandmother is from a town in Cuba called Santi Spiritu, which means the Holy Spirit. So as I was doing this, I know that I'm descended from two Joan the Baptists, and now I'm coming and proclaiming the kingdom of God without in any way referring to the visible church on earth or the anticipated second coming of Christ, because Jesus is entirely different from has been depicted for the last 200 years. Okay? So, and I even go into, in this book, I even go into my being taken up into the spaceships in February of 1973. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in the space,
Wow.
You follow me?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. But you know, the other thing that I was wondering about, we're getting a few questions in here that people want to ask, but I don't want to interrupt at the same time.
Ask them.
This one was, are you talking about the movie Pegasus Project, August 16, 2015? There was an actual government Pegasus Project, right? I mean,
yeah, there are three things. Project Pegasus was the name of a secret time travel project that was in DARPA and CIA. And I was first contacted by Project Pegasus in 1971. And it was Project Pegasus and DARPA-CIA that made these documentaries. And I've been dealing with Project Pegasus that has time traveled my books from the future to the past.
That's fascinating.
For about 50 years.
Wow.
Okay, and that is in this. Now, there are all, we could get into this. There are all sorts of versions, but I'll just get down to this, and then I'll switch to a second subject. And this is from my February 1973 extraterrestrial abduction, which started out when I was in the presence of this inside this kind of interdimensional presence. And I said, "Who are you?" I asked the presence. And the presence said, "I am the Holy Spirit." Okay, I'm just kind of paraphrasing here. And then I asked it, I said, and who am I? And the Holy Spirit responded with thought waves that continued. And it said, "Thou art Peter, and upon this rock I shall found my church." And those are that's a quote from Matthew 24, from the Synoptic Gospels. In other words, the ETs were using Jesus, we're using gospel language on me. You follow me? But then I was taken up into the ship and shown a movie of the future, and that I would be doing this type of work in the future. And so I think that in this book we talk about the Jimmy Carter, Weber, and Andy Basiago ET abduction, where Jimmy Carter and myself were taken up by the same ETs, and that was witnessed by Andrew Basiago. Andrew Basiago witnessed me, and I think that the purpose of that was to coordinate Jimmy Carter's future election as a president in 1976. And it was to set me up as the future coordinator of Jimmy Carter's 1977 White House extraterrestrial study, and with Andy Basiago as an eyewitness to my being up there. So that is some of the interdimensional stuff that has been going on. Now, what I'd like to do is to transition now to a second book, which is also on pre-order at Amazon, and you can get it at omniversity.us. And this one is probably going to, there'll be a lot of questions about it, but I'd like to read the description.
Okay. Can you answer a quick question before you do that, before you read the description? Someone.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Someone asked you when you said you were taken up on the ship, they're asking who were the beings that took you up and showed you? That's what
okay.
Who were they?
So to answer that, I go through answering that question, and that is in my book, but it's also at exopolitics.com. You can go to exopolitics.com or newsinsideout.com, go to the index, enter in Jimmy Carter. Up will come up the Carter Weber Basiago abduction, and I do a lot of speculation there. And I speculate that that was a ship of the Regional Galactic Governance Council of the Pleiadians, the Alpha Centaurians, the Arcturians, and others. Those are the upper dimensional humans that have overseen affairs here on Earth for about 1 million years. And it's there that I'm proposing that an Earth representative on the council, because, it's about time, and I'm proposing myself, and other people can propose themselves, as an Earth representative on the Regional Galactic Governance Council. Wow. And people can go to positivefuture.info and they see my platform and qualifications there. So this is all open, it's all transparent.
Okay, I got another question before we go any further, and that is this. It's my understanding, I don't know if I read it in your material or where I read it, but it was my understanding that there's only one timeline that actually contains the Yeshua's family line. Okay, so there's a lot of talk about timelines these days, and the timeline that this was witnessed on, someone had asked if there was any possibility that could it be in a different timeline or whatever. So what I'm understanding from what I'm hearing is that that's the only timeline that it could be in. Is that the timeline that we're in now?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question this way. There are multiple versions of who Joshua ben Joseph Jesus is.
Yes.
Ranging from the New Testament to the Urantia Book to Mary Magdalene and Jesus were spouses. They went to France, or they went.
I've heard it all. Yes.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things.
Yeah.
From the time travel perspective, the version that seems most organic here is the version that Sananda, Jesus, and Judas Iscariot put forth in a document, and that will set out who Jesus really is. And so there
Where's that document? Is that an available document or what?
Yeah, you can download it for free, and we have
Free's always good.
in that book, and you can download the whole document for free. And
cool.
You know, it's like we were sold an overblown barrel of goods, because it was the Roman emperors who were, at that time, they promoted that they were gods. Every emperor under law was God. And that's why Flavius Josephus invented the Jesus in the Synoptic Gospels as God and the Son of God, because he was setting up the propaganda parallel with the emperor. It had nothing to do with the correct cosmology.
Wow. Okay. They keep the So what role did Mary Magdalene play then in the real? I mean, that's real and truthful. With yes.
Okay. I'd be glad to go back and do a further study on that, but
okay.
But it is not the close person was Judas Iscariot. It wasn't Mary Magdalene.
Oh wow! Okay. Wow, it's endless.
Judas Iscariot was the person who Sananda wrote the book with. So it's like everything that you know is wrong.
Yeah, I guess so.
Everything you know is wrong.
Well, I had 12 years of indoctrination, so yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I noticed Harry
in school. I'm talking about
Hokanen's, interviewed one of the descendants of Mary Magdalene. They said there were about 10,000 bloodline descendants of Joshua and Mary. We'll see. We'll see.
Do they really know their bloodline?
We will see if that's correct. The topic of this book had to do with the time travel documentary. I did not do a study of Mary Magdalene, so I could not speak to that.
Okay, no problem. Well, someone's made the comment, they're all alien religions.
Yeah, this is all we've just been inundated with disinformation.
Yeah, and they made us memorize some of it too when we were in school.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's see, what do we have?
So I can now shift to the other
okay.
To the other book. Would that be good?
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. You're doing great. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the title of this book, and you can find it again on Amazon or at omniversity.us. This is the title. Time Screen, the 100-year chronogarchy plot to break up America using time travel, Trump, and treason. Okay. Now I'm going to read the description, and then we can sit back and have a discussion. Is that good? Is that good? Hello?
Yes, sorry,
Yeah.
I had to mute my.
Oh, sorry. Okay, great. Here we go. In Time Screen, an historic and legendary 100-year unlawful, secret, and deceptive chronogarchy plot to break the constitutional union of states in America and disassemble the Constitution of the United States of America through quantum access, time travel driven covert social engineering through the political and social persona of Donald J. Trump as a key willing actor in violation of Article 3, Section 3 of the US Constitution, prohibiting treason, quote, levying war against the United States, end of quote. With evidence characterizing Ingersoll Lockwood, an 1890s member of the New York Bar and an American political writer, lawyer, and novelist, and an embedded local handler of the Chronogarchy time travel operations for the Chronogarchy, the new book Time Screen demonstrates how the Chronogarchy, through Ingersoll Lockwood's two books, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, where the key characters are Don Trump, Baron Trump, and a man named Pence, and 1900, or The Last President, which sets out the plot of the last constitutional president of the United States, intentionally implanted and published key memes, tropes, and time travel plot deflectors related to Donald J. Trump's central historical role as a covert Russian agent of influence in, quote, 100-year plot to break up America through time travel, Trump, and treason, end of quote. Alfred recounts his 1971 meeting with a top-secret DARPA-CIA time travel unit in 1971 after DARPA-CIA time traveled his landmark book, Exopolitics, from 2005 back to 1971 using classified quantum access technologies. Continuing the disclosure narrative, Alfred reveals a stunning January 1977 staff meeting with Stanford Research Institute Futurist Director Willis Harman, who at the time had a 50-year alternative future study with US Central Intelligence Agency, which had just time traveled Alfred's books back from 2005 to 1971. Willis Harman took Alfred, who had just joined the SRI Futurist staff, aside and told him of the future balkanization of the USA. Quote, Alfred, in the future, the United States of America will break up into many regions, end of quote. US Presidents George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald J. Trump, and Joseph Robinette Biden would be pre-identified and groomed on a common consensual policy by the DARPA-CIA Chronogarchy secret time travel presidential pre-identification program. Time Screen documents a 40-year penetration of Russian intelligence into, quote, the real Donald Trump, becoming a deep cover Soviet asset, and Trump Tower becoming a known base of operations for, quote, the Russian mafia. It was the Russian mafia that made Trump a billionaire. With Russian intelligence asset Donald Trump's winning of the US presidency in November 2016 as 2015 as pre-identified by DARPA-CIA time travel, a covert Russian spy became US president, accounting for the determination of the FBI and CIA to remove and block Trump through first the Russian dossier, then 2 impeachments, a managed 2020 US presidential election loss, the Congressional January 6, 2021 Select Committee, the 8/8/2022 Lionsgate FBI search and seizure of Trump's headquarters at Mar-a-Lago on espionage grounds. The new book focuses on structural signs of a possible chronogarchy time travel manufactured breakup of the United States of America, including the 2022 adoption by the Texas State Republican Party of a plan calling for the secession of Texas from the United States, something that has not happened since the Civil War. And a recent poll showing that a plurality of Trump voters in Trump-leading states favor secession from the United States of America. Quote, about 33% of Trump voters in so-called red states say they personally fare better if their state, quote, became an independent country. With a publication date of July 4th, 2023, Alfred's new book presents solutions for the body politic of the United States so that the positive American experiment does not fall victim to covert time travel predicted projections of the chronogarchy. And if you want to now, you can go and do an internet search to map, balkanized map of the United States, and you'll see all kinds of maps. There's a KGB map that has the United States balkanized into 9 different nations, you know, from the Republic of Texas, the Confederacy. It's divided into 9 different nations. At the simplest level, you would have, you know, the blue states and the red states, and you have a blue president and a red president. And this period is just starting now, but you have the implantation of these memes going back to 1890 in the books of Ingersoll Lockwood, the last president, and the Donald Trump book, which you know, Baron Trump's marvelous underground journey, which was set in Russia. And the research that we've done here is based on NSA, CIA, and even KGB agents that bring to documentary evidence that Donald J. Trump has a 40-year history as a Russian agent of influence. He's been essentially turned by the Russians that turned him on the basis of money. So that's it.
That's a big wow, and that's
now I have to say that I did not start it out that way. I started out the book watching the January 6th hearings, and I started out thinking that they were a false flag and that they were illegitimately prosecuting Trump. And the farther that I got into it, and then I went all the way back to 1890, and I got deeper and deeper into it. Wow. You know, and for me, it's been really a long path because I've been a judge on 3 tribunals of conscience, one of which is the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, where we found George W. Bush, Richard B. Cheney, and Donald H. Rumsfeld, along with Tony Blair, guilty of war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan.
What about I just heard, oh, sorry to interrupt. Hold your thought. I heard there were tribunals in, I can't say the name of, in Ukraine. I forget, Maripol or whatever the name of the city is. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, there are. I haven't gone into the war crimes things in the Ukraine, but
okay.
What I was about to say is that here I have the father, Richard B. Cheney, who, as a judge, I found guilty of war crime. I actually started out watching the January 6th. And his daughter is actually a patriot in some sense. Now, you may not agree with her politics as a conservative Republican, but from a judge fact-finding point of view, she seems to be following the evidence. There are findings that if she does run for president, she will help Trump win the presidency if Trump runs in 2024 by splitting the Democratic vote.
Wow. I don't have any faith in Democrats or Republicans. I really don't.
Yeah.
Two wings of the same bird.
The core of this book, and what I was told in January of '77, is that the U.S. is going to break up into pieces. It's going to be balkanized. I'm against that. I think that the U.S. should stay together.
I do too.
I'm for the Constitution. So my purpose in this book is to bring that out publicly, the fact that that's a possibility, that I was told that in January of 1977, and I provide some solutions for keeping the U.S. together. But I think that Donald Trump, either by his own volition or he's being used as a device, is along with many other things, is part of the potential breakup of the country, where
well, I hope that's not true. I've been kind of an avid supporter of Mr. T for some time.
That
thinking
is
the
danger that we have, that the centrifugal force will be the centrifugal force, that is the force that for separation will be greater than the centripetal force keeping the family together. And that's what happens when all families break apart. And so I am
okay, sorry. I was just you've had somebody ask this twice, so I missed it before. So what is your take on the cutoff date of October 3rd?
I don't know what that question means. I don't know what.
Yeah, you're going to have to add some more information to that dot connector about what she said about the cutoff date, October 3rd cutoff.
Yeah,
for
it doesn't. October 3rd currently is not a date that refers to. It's not a date on the any calendar that I've seen. Now, Patty may have a private theory that she's promoting.
Okay, here she put it up. No, she's talking about it means our exit from 3D, because I think the planet is. I don't know. There's talking about that solar flare, and I mean, some say it's a good thing, others say it's going to turn us into crispy critters. So. I don't know.
People can go to positivefuture.info and I show there that in the crossover from 2012 to 2013, the Earth went on to a positive timeline. The division between 3D and 4D and up to 5D, it's a continuum. So this is a continuum. It's not that we pop from 3D up to 4D. I think it's much more of a continuum. And if you want the rationale of that, which is data-based, it's at positivefuture.info.
Positive future. Okay.
.info.
.info. Okay. Can you put that down? A dot connector. What are the 250,000 year cycles, many cycles that, they're talking about the ending of the Kali Yuga, some people call it.
Okay. I've done 8 to 10 programs with experts on the 26,000, the 25,920 year cycle around the galactic center. Okay. We are now at about the 20-minute mark of midnight. Golden ages happen. We are in a 2-sun solar system, and the 2 suns come together every 26,000 years. And when they're together, those are the golden ages. And when they're furthest apart, that's the Kali Yuga. And the Kali Yuga occurred about 2,000 years ago, or about the time that right after Buddha came and around the time that Jesus came. And we're now in the Dwarpa Yuga. In other words, we're in about 20 minutes of the midnight hour when the 2 suns would be again. So we have about 10,000 years to go before the 2 suns are together, and we're in the golden age, which would be sort of up in full 5D. So there's a lot of loose talk and, stuff in the whole Ascension area.
Yeah.
You might have a lot of personal ascension going on, but as far as planetary ascension, we're probably 10,000 years away from it. And people can go to over 8 programs that we've done at newsinsideout.com and Exopolitics TV on YouTube.
So if the planet is going to take 10,000 years to totally ascend, as you just said, does that mean we're stuck in this 3D cycle this whole time?
No, we are moving up into higher and higher frequencies. But we're about 10,000 years away from a true golden age when the 2 suns are together.
Okay.
At least according to this theory, which seemed to carry a lot of weight, and that is the highest knowledge coming out of that sort of Hindu, Buddhist, corner.
Well, let's see, what's
spiritual science.
What's this one? Somebody says, seems you took forever to say this important information about DJT. What the heck?
I merely read the book description on Amazon. I read 4 paragraphs of a book description on Amazon. The draft of the book so far is 425 pages.
Okay, I'll take that one down.
You can
Oh.
read. There are 5 books out there that document Donald J. Trump being a Soviet-Russian asset, a KGB asset, and that document it, and that are not part of a, disinformation thing.
Well, wasn't that part of the Russian collusion smear campaign? That was used to get,
That is a defense.
different?
That's a defense that the Trump camp uses as a cover.
Well, I'm willing to consider anything. What about the Shroud of Turin as far as Jesus is concerned? Was that a fraud?
I
Don't know.
I don't know. I mean, look at the Shroud of. I mean, that could be. That could be consistent with the time travel documentary of the crucifixion, even though the person in the time travel documentary of the crucifixion was very swarthy and Middle Eastern. He's not like, the Greek god type of person, as in the Shroud of Turin.
Okay. Let's see. Let me see what other questions have. Sometimes they go by so fast I can't catch them. So, are there phantom timelines as well as organic and inorganic timeline, or is there more than one organic timeline, so to speak?
Look, it was explained to me that if you can look at timelines in our time-space hologram, like lanes on a multi-lane highway, and say that the ones toward this end are more catastrophic and the ones toward this end are more positive, and that the Earth can actually shift timelines toward a more positive timeline, and that is what occurred in 2012 to 2013.
Okay, I get it. Putting so many pieces together. Somebody when we were talking about the October 23rd, Patty was saying there's a gamma ray that is coming that's going to wipe us out if we don't exit before October 23rd.
Yeah, I think that my reading is that Earth is on a paradise planet timeline now, and
so that's not going to happen.
Way. Yeah, and is headed that way, and it's the deep state. It's the deep state and the Luciferian state that is trying all this noise to confuse humanity and to get us off track. Because this is a paradise planet. The reptilian social order for this planet, war, disease, crime, and poverty, is over. And what are fueling things like the pedocriminal industry are the secret treaties between the Draco reptilians and the United States of America. So it's all these structural things.
There's so many things we don't know about, or the people in general especially don't know about what our government has been involved with, all the deception, all the lies. I just hope that the higher frequencies and energies that are coming into the planet are going to change that.
Yeah. Yeah, people go to positivefuture.info, and we have shown there from certain chronovisor probes done by the DARPA-CIA in 2013 that we are on that in 2013 we shifted to a positive timeline, and we're on a paradise planet. We're headed that way now.
I like that. I can't complain about that.
Yeah, and all the rest of it is just because we all of this confusion. Right now you have warring constitutional sides that are trying to tear the United States of America apart instead of working cooperatively. Sorry, you're
Yeah, I muted again. Sorry, I had to do that. But anyway, I just
yeah. So that's now. So now
here's a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's a question, real quick. We're talking about the Mandela effect. Why isn't the sun yellow anymore, like it was in the '60s? It's white now.
Yeah, there's enormous spiritual wars going on. The chemtrails and HARP are all directed at interfering with the interdimensional portal at the core of our solar system, which is the sun, and the interdimensional portal at the core of our galaxy, which the Mayans call Unaku. And through both of those portals, that's where the divine energy and the divine signal comes through from source, from God, that we pick up through our crown chakras. And the deep state and the Luciferian state has deployed all of these directed energy weapons, which are really anti-God, and that is what is going on now.
Wow. Yeah, and they've really ramped it up. They've shortened their time frame because they're so concerned about everything that's happening. But wow. Let's see. Well, was there anything else that we needed to cover, Alfred? We're coming up on about an hour and a half.
No, I think that we've covered it. The basic reason I came here today was to say that I've been interacting with the secret time travel sector for about 50 years, and I've now written 2 books. One on the life and teachings of Jesus, to really kind of get us out of that meme, which has been ruling humanity for 2,000 years at least. And the second one, because, and as I've shown, which is written in the book there, Earth went on to a positive timeline when it changed over from 2012 to 2013, and there's been a 100-year secret chronogarchy plot to try and balkanize the US Constitution because it is a positive breakthrough. And I would urge everyone to really work for the union of the United States and work inside the framework of the Constitution and stop being so negative. Just work inside the framework of the Constitution and elect people who are, and politicians who are reasonable, who want to work inside the framework of the Constitution. Like it's real simple.
It just seems that so often, though, people get in there and they might have been good when they first started, but after they're there in their first, I don't know if it's in their first year or how soon they're confronted, but
so just run for office yourself. What can I say?
I wouldn't want to. Not my. No.
Yeah,
That's not me.
yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, if whoever's drawn toward that, but
yeah, people that are drawn to that kind of scare me.
yeah,
that sounds kind of not fair, but I know a lot of people start with good intentions and then somehow they end up getting compromised or tricked or hoodwinked or you name it, and then somebody will get something that they can use against them, that kind of thing.
Kathleen asks, how can we be in a paradise state? It's not that we're in a paradise state. It's that we're on a timeline to end up as a paradise planet. We're in our current state, but we're on a positive trajectory. We're on a positive timeline. So that's what the case is. I hope that I've answered Kathleen McFarland's question.
Okay, let me see if there's any more. And thank you, Doyle. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Oops, I can't spell. Excuse me while I write that. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Any other good questions? I saw something that was interesting. It says here, Fly Sky says, buckle up, everybody. Something very spectacular is about to happen. Major earth changes, water, wind, temperature, new masses are about to be revealed. Do you know anything about that?
Well, this has been, you could say that for every year since 1973, which Nostradamus says was the beginning of the fight of good against evil. So, boom.
Okay. Let's see. 1 minute. Oh, somebody was this one. Let me see what this one was.
Oh, yeah. The chronovisor.
We get that already.
Yeah,
okay,
did
sorry.
the chronovisor replace the looking glass? The chronovisor and the looking glass are two slightly different technologies. And the chronovisor is a more general technology. It is more widely used. It's used at the Vatican. It's used in the Defense Department, etc. My understanding is that looking glass was more particular, and it was used during the Bush administration. They gave looking glasses to every cabinet officer, and it just didn't quite work out.
Wow. Somebody mentioned that the chemtrails were gone last week, and it's true. The clouds I've seen here lately look normal. Like they did when I was a little kid.
Yeah, exactly. So,
And so that's always a good sign. I'm sure there's always more to talk about, but I like to keep it at about an hour and a half, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, sure.
And,
okay, good. Well, thank you very much. And people can go to omniversity.us and you'll find all of the books there. And as of the day after Labor Day, there'll be courses and classes that'll be starting there. And you can work towards certificates in this area because we're starting a whole new knowledge platform in multi-dimensional knowledge. So we're working in the new paradigm. We're working in 5D now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alfred. Thank you for all the wonderful work you do, from all the deep research you get involved in. And thank you for coming on my show. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Okay.
Maybe we'll do it again as more information comes out. So you take care. Have a wonderful day. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste.
See you again soon. Bye-bye.